Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryamkaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jnananandamayam devam nirmalasphटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां हयग्रीवमुपास्महे. ओम श्री हयग्रीवाय नमः. ओम श्री वल्लभा समेत श्री महागणाधिपतये नमः. So we were looking at the topic samvidah Atmatva-upapattih. In this, one of the contentions of the Vishishtadvaitin is that Jnanam is both the Atma Swarupa, but it is also Jnana Ashrayatvam also is there for Atma. Both are there. It is both its Swarupa and also it is an Ashraya for Jnanam. So this we don't accept. In fact, they give the money as a Drishtanta for that. So you see here, Jnana Swarupa, Jnana Rupasyapi, Jnana Ashrayatvam. This is what they are claiming. And they are using the money as the Drishtanta for that. Money is bright, and so it is having that brightness as the Ashraya, and it is also its Swarupa, like this they are saying. But we say that that's not correct. The Drishtanta itself is wrong. Money is having Parthivamsha and Tejomsha. Both are there, and therefore you cannot call the brightness or the Tejas of the money as its both its Swarupa, and that it is also that Tejas is having an Ashraya, or it is located there as a guna. So this we don't accept. And another thing they claim is that even though this jnana itself is limitless or not limited by anything, but it still it expands in the presence of a Vishaya to cover it. And when the Vishaya is not there, or when the cognition is over, it again contracts. So this expansion and contraction is there for Jnanam, even though it is limitless. Like this also they make an argument, which also we did not accept. So finally what was said was, this was said, correct? Tasmad anityasya eva vritti jnanasya sankochadikam. So the sankocha etc. is really of the mano vritti, correct? Or the antakarana vritti only. It is not of the chaitanyam or samvit. And that whatever sankocha, vikasa, etc., they are all not atma dharma. Tacha jnanam na atma dharma. The vritti jnana is not atma dharma, and not also its swarupa. Napi atma swarupam. Into antakarana dharma eva. So the vritti itself is antakarana dharma. That is where the sankocha, vikasa, etc. is there. That we also accept. In fact, we say that the mind being sattva guna pradhana and also subtle can go out through the indriyas and take the form of the Vishaya. This is how we describe the process of knowledge. So we accept that. But that is all antakarana dharma. So antakarana dharma eveti nasti jnana kriya ashrayatvam atmanaha. So Atma cannot have any jnana kriya ashraya. Any jnana kriya is only adhyasika on Atma. Atma is not a kriya ashraya also, it is nishkriyam. That is the swarupa of Atma. Upanishad is very clear. Now in this context, Sudarshana also has said something. So he is now taking that up. Yaduktam Sudarshanena dhatvarta ashrayatvam atmanaha na sambhavati tad ayuktam. So Sudarshana says that the Advaitins are saying that the dhatvarta ashrayatvam is not there for Atma, but that is not proper. Dhatvarta means, Dhatvarta is basically Kriya. Any Dhatu means it's a verbal root, correct? Any verb is an action. So Dhatvarta Ashrayatvam has to be there for Atma according to him. If we say that that is not possible, then that's not correct. That's not proper, tad ayuktam. Why? So he is now asking a question. Kim paramartha bhuta dhatvartha ashrayatvam na atmanaha yadva aparamartha bhuta dhatvartha ashrayatvam. So when we say that there is no dhatvartha ashrayatvam in atma, means what? Atma is not a locus for any activity. Okay. When you say that, is it paramartha drishti? Is it that ultimately it is not like that? In ultimate reality, it is not like that, or in transactional world itself, it is not like that. Okay. Or you can say that in reality, there is no dhatvartha ashrayatvam, but it is there, like in the kriya of the snake on the rope, correct? Snake is doing some kriya, you can see that, but there is no real, that cannot be imputed on the rope, correct? So the aparamartha means we can even take it as some kind of a brahma, okay, or vyavaharika. Which one is not there, he is asking. Now, if we say in reality there is no kriya ashrayatvam in atma, means then what he is saying, adye ghata dehe apitad abhavat bhaved atmatvam. So even in a part cannot act by itself. So there is no activity in part. Part can become an object of action, but it cannot be an actor. Correct? So the kartritva ashrayatvam is not there for a part. So if you say that, then atma is also like that. Means part also is like that. So part will become now atma. Atmatvam will come for part. If you say that paramartha dhatvartha ashrayatvam is not there for atma, then that atmatvam can be there even in a part. Then you say, no, we are saying aparamartha, means then dvitiye bheda brahma ashrayatvena syad anatmatvam atmanaha iti. If you say what? If it is only having all this, whatever, unreal, not real but unreal, the dhatvartha ashrayatvam in atma, okay, and that is not possible in atma, means what? But the bheda brahma ashrayatva is there even for the rope, correct? Even if that you negate, the false dhatvartha ashrayatvam also, if you negate in the atma, then also it is there in Veda Brahma, dhatvartha ashrayatvam is there still for rope and other things. So then also, like the rope, atma will now become anatma, he is saying. So whichever way you say, whether it is not there paramartha or aparamartha, in both ways, your definition will have a problem. Either the anatma will get atmatvam or atma will get anatmatvam. Like this they are saying. Because Veda Brahma based dhatvartha ashrayatvam is there even for rope, etc. Now this is how he is arguing, means what? I think Bellangonda became angry. He is saying tattucham. This is not correct. Okay, it is false. This kind of whatever analysis is not correct. It is false. Why? What we say is swasamana sattaka dhatvartha ashrayatvam anatmatvam iti vivakshitatvat. See, the dhatvartha ashrayatvam should be between two things which are of the same order of reality. Okay, that is what we say is anatmatvam. You cannot bring this snake and rope into this because they are not swasamana sattaka. Therefore, this is what he is saying. So what we are saying is that both of them should be of the same order of reality. Or otherwise, also what we say, athava, aparamartha bhuta dhatvartha ashrayatvam eva anatmatvam. Or anatmatvam is really that Dhatvartha Ashrayatvam, which is not real in fact. He is saying that way also we can take. Why? Because if the Dhatvartha itself is not real, okay, then wherever it is there, that Ashrayat, whatever that Ashrayatvam of that also cannot be real. That way also we can look at it. Whichever way we look at it, we have no problem in fact. That's what he is trying to show. So what he is saying is, Nacha tad atmanaha asti dhatvartasya eva aparamarthikatve tad ashrayattvasyapi aparamarthikatvat aparamarthikena tena पारमार्थिकस्य आत्मनः संबंध अभावात् न अस्ति आत्मनः अपरमार्थभूत धात्वर्थ आश्रयत्वम्. So he's saying that's what, like I explained, if you say that aparamarthika dhatvartha ashrayatvam also is not there in Atma, we can say that in one way. Why? Because if the dhatvartha itself is not real, correct? Dhatvartasya eva aparamarthikatve, okay, sati, that being the case, then what? Tad ashrayattvasyapi aparamarthikatva, the ashrayatvam of something which is not real also cannot be real. Therefore, because of that, the Atma which is real, correct? Paramarthikasya Atmanaha. You cannot say that there is a sambandha between the real Atma and the unreal Ashrayatvam and claim that that is a problem or a dosha, etc. Therefore, there is no sambandha between the real Atma and the unreal, whatever, the unreal nature of being the support of or the locus of a action. Okay. So therefore what? Sambandha abhavat na asti atmanaha aparamartha bhuta dhatvartha ashrayatvam. So even if we say that Atma does not have aparamartha bhuta dhatvartha ashrayatvam, it is fine. Okay. You cannot claim that by that this Atma will become Anatma and all that. That's not correct. Okay. So further he is explaining that he is saying mithya bhuta prapancha ashrayatvam hi atmanaha mithya bhutam. That's what. See the idea, the prapancha is mithya. Once the prapancha becomes mithya, then the mithya ashrayatvam, like that there is a guna in the Atma and all you cannot say, correct? Atma is the locus of this mithya prapancha, if we say, because there is no other locus. Atma has to be the locus. But by that, it is getting that guna, etc. You cannot say, because prapancha itself is mithya and the ashrayatvam also has to be equally mithya, or it is even the karana karya prakriya itself is operating in this manner only, correct? What do we say? Brahman is jagat karana. Means it is the karana of all the things which are there here, whatever, starting from akasha onwards. And everything in this jagat is all only, they are all bhautika, correct? They are all elementals. We have a 5 elemental model of creation. In that everything is accounted for, whether it is physical world, subtle world, whether it is physical body or the indriyas, the mind, everything is accounted for in our creation model, and everything is karya, brahma karya. And then what do we say? Karya is mithya, karanam alone is satyam, sadeva satyam, correct? By this, and then this is all vacharambanam, vikaro, namadheyam and all if we say, what is the implication of that? If the karya is mithya, then you cannot say Brahman has mithya karanatvam is there in Brahman, there is a guna. Can you say that? Means you cannot say that. Why? The karanatvam also becomes mithya. If the karya is mithya, karanatvam also is mithya. Therefore, Brahman is as it is really. You cannot impute any of these things on Brahman. So that's what we are saying here. Mithya bhuta prapancha ashrayatvam pihi atmanaha mithya bhutam maru bhumehe udakashrayatvam iva. Like even they in the desert, you see mirage water. So there is no real mirage water on the sand there. So you cannot impute that no, it has the guna of being the locus of mirage water, etc. Okay, the other option he is taking is ghatasya amityatvena hi bhutale ghata ashrayatvasya amithyatvam. Okay, in the vyavahara, since we said swasamana sattaka, correct? Dhatvartha ashrayatvam is the anatmatvam. Let us say ghata and all is anatma, but it has ashrayatva. For example, ghata, or even you take the bhutala or the ground. The ground has dhatvartha ashrayatva, let us say, or it is the ashraya for a ghata. But there, that ashrayatvam is taken as real, at least within the vyavahara, because both ghata and bhutala are of the same order of reality. Both are vyavaharika. Within the vyavaharika world, ghata is also amitya, bhutala also is amitya. Therefore, you can say the ghata ashrayatvam is there for the bhutala, it is not mitya. But for anatma as a whole, anatmanastu अपरमार्थ भूत धात्वर्थ आश्रयत्वम अस्ति देहादि अनात्मगत गमनादि धात्वर्थस्य व्यावहारिकत्वेन aparamarthikatvaditi. So for all the anatma, the aparamartha bhuta dhatvartha ashrayatvam can be there, because we also accept that the deha etc. which are anatma have all this gamanadi kriya ashrayatvam is there. Deha only is acting, correct? All the karmendriya also is there, and it is also vyavaharika only, but therefore it is aparamarthika only. In fact, our Puja Swamiji used to analyze this very well, correct? Any action if you take, simply we say cooking. What is cooking? Is it cutting the vegetable is cooking? Putting it in a vessel is cooking? Lighting up the fire is cooking? Means if you start analyzing like that, any activity also you cannot really define. They are all undefinable only, correct? So any action further, if you break it down, then what is that means? None of that can be called as that action by itself, really speaking. And even in further, if you take cutting also, what taking the knife is cutting, or whatever, pressing it, etc. Like this, any action, if you further break it down, in fact, this 24 frames and all is there, correct? We can see that any action is mithya. If you see cinema, we know that nowadays we have digital projectors, but before that we used to have these film rolls, correct? In that, for the action to take place, it should have 24 frames per second. Each frame is not really an action, correct? It is a still. But those 24 stills makes it appear as though an action is happening seamlessly on the screen, correct? So like that only, each still is not action. But those stills can make up an action itself is maya. It's all only mithya. Like even time itself is mithya, correct? You cannot define time. You cannot define what is now only. What is now? Is it second, microsecond, picosecond, whatever means now? So time also you cannot define. Time is just again superimposed on Atma. Similarly, any Kriya also is superimposed only on a Ashraya. It is all Maya really. If you get down to it, you cannot really define. Even a line, geometrically also, they say point does not occupy any space. But a series of points make up a line. This is the funny thing, correct? So like this, mathematics itself is all one Maya. Okay. If you get into the fundamentals of mathematics, there is nothing you can really define properly. Even today, it is a big problem for mathematicians also. So anyway, all this is only Maya. So this Maya is Mithya. Therefore, all this talk about this Ashrayatam is there and all that, we cannot take it seriously. So, further what? Yadva paramartha bhuta dhatvarta ashrayatvam anatmatvam. Okay, see, otherwise, whichever way, if you say that no, paramartha bhuta dhatvarta ashrayatvam, if it is there for something, it is not Atma. Atma is Nishkriya, but it has to be Anatma also. Then also it is not a problem because within the Vyavahara, Dhatvartha Ashrayatvam can be taken as real. Okay. Then you can say, okay, part as a real Dhatvartha Ashrayatvam, where we take the Dhatvartha itself as real. That is in Vyavahara. Okay. So Gata Dehe to Tadasti Laukika Paramartha Bhuta Dhatvartha Ashrayatvat Gata Dehe. In this case, how we will say, so Gata, etc. Again, Swasamana Sattaka, we already said, correct? The Gata and the activity are of the same order of reality. But when you look at it from Atma and any activity, it will be like Rajju Sarpa. It will become Aparamartha. So whichever way we say it, we have no problem. Okay, Atmani Pratyamanam Dhatvartha Ashrayatvam tu Rajju Sarpavat Laukika Paramartha Bhutam na Bhavati eva Kintu Mithyaiva iti na Doshaha iti. So finally what we say, so whether you gave two kotis and then said that there is a problem, we say that in both cases we can explain it off, we have no problem. Whether you take it as aparamarthika or paramarthika, in both cases we can explain it. There is no defect or anything, there is no dosha. So if you take it as aparamarthika, this aparamarthika dhatvartha is there in Ghata, etc. Therefore it is anatma, we can say, but that also is not there in the Atma. Or if you say it is paramarthika, then we say, okay, it is laukika paramarthika, and even that is not there in Atma. So like this we can explain both. Therefore what? Nacha evam laukika paramartha bhuta dhatvartha ashrayatva abhavat rajju sarpadehe anatmatvam na syat iti vachyam. So once we say this, now they say, no, this laukika paramartha dhatvartha ashrayatva abhava is there even for rajju sarpa, because the sarpa's activity is not laukika paramartha also. Therefore, the rajju will become atma. Okay. So rajju sarpadehe anatmatvam na syat. Then atmatvam will come means you can't say that. Why? That's why we are now tightening up the definition. So he is now putting two things. What? Laukika paramartha bhuta dhatvartha anashrayatve sati vyavahara kala badhyatvam atmatvam iti abhivagamat. So finally we have a definition where we are tightening it up. So the ati vyapti into rajju etc., rajju sarpa and rajju etc. should not be there. For that we are now adding vyavahara kala abadhyatvam. So vyavahara kala abadhyatvam has to be there, but that is not there. The rajju sarpa is negated in vyavahara itself. Therefore, but atma. So if you only say vyavahara kala abadhyatvam, also it is a problem. Okay. Then what? It will enter ghata etc. The atmatvam will enter ghata. So to remove that only we say laukika paramartha bhuta dhatvartha anashrayatvam. So the ghata has laukika paramartha bhuta dhatvartha. That anashrayatvam is there only for atma. Okay, that alone if you say, then Rajju Sarpa will have a problem. It will come into the picture. Therefore, Vyavahara Kala Abadhyatvam also we add. And therefore, both with these two things together, our definition of Atmatvam will not enter either Ghata or this Rajju Sarpa. Okay. In this manner, we have to take both, he is saying. So, Visheshya Matra Upadane Ghata Dehe Atmatvam Syat. That's what I said now. So, if you take only Vyavahara Kala Abadhyatvam, that is there for Ghata. Therefore, Ghata will become Atma. So, we have to add this. Laukika Paramartha Bhuta Dhatvartha Anashrayatva. Not being the locus of transactional activities, Vyavahara activities. That is not there for Ghata. Therefore, because of that, the Ghata is now, the Ativyapti into the Ghata is gone. Similarly, Visheshana Matra Upadane, if you only take Laukika Paramartha Bhuta Dhatvartha Anashrayatvam, that is there in the Rajju Sarpa case. So we had Vyavahara Kala Abadhyatvam, then that is also rejected or that is removed. Okay. So by taking both, we have a proper definition, he is saying. And Visheshana Matra Upadane Rajju Sarpadehe Atmatvam Saditi Tad Ubhaya Varanartham Ubhaya Upadanam iti. So we have to consider or take both these together, and then the definition is tight, proper. Okay, once we do all this, what? So we have finally said what Atma is not Kriya Shraya. Why are we saying all this? To say that Atma is not a Jnata. Because Jnana Kriya Ashrayatvam is there in Atma is the contention of the Vishishtadvaitin. So we are negating that Jnana Swarupa alone is Atma. Atma has only Jnana Swarupa. There is no Jnana Kriya Ashrayatvam in Atma. Atma is Nishkriya. And it being Nitya also, it cannot undergo any change, correct? It is Nitya, Niravayava. Avayava also is not there. For any Kriya to take place, there has to be Avayava. All these things, Atma doesn't have any of these things. It is Nitya and it is also limitless, correct? Space-wise. So what Kriya can be there in that? It is Aparichinna also. It is Nitya and it is Niravayava and it is also Nirvikara. There is no Vikara in Atma. So all these things not being there, Kriya also cannot be there definitely. Okay, but even then what? What did Ramanuja say? He said, Atha Yaduktam Ramanujena Jnanam Nityam. Okay, they also accept Jnanam is Nitya. Okay. But what Tasya cha Indriya Dwara Prasaraha Asti, but it goes through the Indriya, he is saying. Jnana is Nitya, but it actually goes through the Indriya and goes to the Vishaya. That is the idea, correct? So the prasara is there, the activity, movement, it moves, it goes through the Indriya. And further what? Tam imam prasaram apekshya jnanasya udaya astamayau vyapadishyete. So the jnana, that is how we say there is a cognition, now the cognition is gone. So the udayam, the production of a cognition and then the destruction or whatever, the resolution of the cognition. So Udaya Astamayo is based on this movement of jnana, but that jnana is nitya, they are saying. Okay. Based on this movement of this nitya jnanam only, this we can say that cognition is there and now cognition is not there, correct? Both are there, both can be talked about. And further what? Jnana prasaretu kartrutvam asti eva, because this jnana moves through the indriya, it goes out through the indriya. You have to say there is kartrutvam, jnana kartrutvam is there. Therefore, kartrutvam is there. And further what they say something very interesting. Tachana swabhavikam. It is not swabhavika. So, tachana swabhavikam apitu karma kritam. So whenever there is a karma or an object of action, then the action takes place, it seems. But it is not, it's not in its nature. Activity is not there in the nature of Atma. It is Nitya Atma, it is Nitya Jnanam also is Nityam. But then whenever an object comes, then this activity takes place. Okay, na swabhavikam apitu karma kritam evam rupam vikriyatmakam jnatritvam jnana swarupasya atmanaha eva iti. Therefore, what they are saying in this manner, vikriyatmakam rupam jnatritvam is there. So that means jnana only goes out through the indriya and takes the form of the object, etc. So this vikriya, this modification is there in the jnanam. This kind of jnatritvam is there. But still Atma is jnana swarupa also. Atma is jnana swarupa. The swarupa jnanam only has this activity, but that is also not its swabhava. It happens only when there is an object. In this manner, it is all we have explained, okay? Means what? Tad asat. It's not true. It cannot be true. Why? What we ask him, Atmanaha Swarupa Bhutam Jnanam Nityam Yadva Dharma Bhutam Athava Ubhayam. We are asking this whatever this jnana is Nitya, you are saying. Which jnanam is Nitya? It is Swarupa Bhuta Jnanam, or you also talk about a Dharma Bhuta Jnana. So is it the Dharma Bhuta Jnanam or both of them are Nitya, are you saying now? Okay, because you are saying there is a jnana which is Nitya and it is going out and all that through the Indriya, correct? What are you meaning by that? Now, Adye Ishtaha eva, okay? So if you say no, if it is Swarupa Bhuta Jnanam is Nityam, that is Ishta for us. We also say the same thing. We have no problem. But if you say Dharma Bhuta Jnanam also is Nityam, but it is having this prasarati, if you say, okay, it goes through the Indriya, now that we cannot accept. Nadvitiyaha. Why? Because anything other than this Atma or the Swarupa Bhuta Jnana is all Mithya. Tat Satyam Atonyadhartamiti Atma Swarupat Anyasya Artatva Shravana. The Shruti is very clear. Brihadaranyaka Shruti is there. Tat Satyam Ataha Anyad Artam. Anything other than this Atma, everything is Mithya. And because of this Shruti itself, the third option also you cannot say. Both are Nityam. Atayeva na Tritiyaha. Okay. Nacha Jnana Gunakam Brahmaiva Satyam iti tat Chutyartha iti Vachyam. Okay. Once we say this, what they are saying, Jnana Gunakam Brahmaiva Satyam. So, this, there are three gunas, and those three gunas are there for Brahman, and that those gunas only are Artha. That is what the Shruti is saying. They are saying Brahmaiva Satyam. Okay. Jnana, but that Brahman has Jnana as the guna. Means if, how can there be guna and still Brahman can be Satyam? We don't know. Once he says this, what we say, no, this Brahman which is Satyam cannot have this Jnana as a guna. And in that manner they will say, if Brahman is Satyam and Jnana guna is there, basically the Visheshana is the Swarupa of the Visheshya, they will say. And therefore that way Jnana also can become Nitya. But anyway, but what we say, Nirgunaha iti Shruti Virodhat, but Shruti is saying Atma is Nirguna. Once we say Nirguna, then these people have different meaning for Nirguna. Okay, they'll say Nirheya Gunaha. Brahman does not have any guna which can be given up or which is worthy of being given up. That's why it is Ananta Kalyana Guna Sampannaha and all they say. But anyway, here what the Purva Pakshi now comes back and says, once we say, Shruti says Atma is Nirguna, he is saying, Nacha Satvadi Guna Rahitaha iti Nirguna Shrutyartaha iti Vachyam. So now he is saying, no, This Brahman does not have these three gunas. The Prakriti. Prakriti is Trigunatmika. The Trigunatmika Prakriti is not there in Brahman. Sattvadi guna rahitam only is said, but not the Jnana guna. That is their point. Brahman is Jnana gunaka, but it does not have Sattvadi guna. Is what he is saying. It can still be Jnana guna. When the Nirguna is said, this Triguna only is mentioned, not the Jnana. It can still be Jnana Gunakam if they say. Now we quote Gita, but even that cannot be said. Why? Sattvat Sanjayate Jnanam. Like that Bhagavad Gita is there. So Jnana is born from Sattva Guna, we say. So what do you do? So iti Gita Vachanat Sattvadi Guna Rahitasya Jnana Sattva Ayogat. Whenever we say this Jnanam as a Kriya, it is only Sattva Guna, which is the whatever the Sattva Guna Pradhanatvam alone results in Jnanam. We have to say that is there in the Gita itself. Sattva is the cause for Jnana. Therefore, what Atayeva Gita Vachanacha Jnanasya Anityatvam. Because this Jnana which you are talking about, this prasara, etc., whatever the movement through the Indriya, all that is Anitya only. Because it is caused by Sattva Guna. Okay, it is produced, it is created, means it can be anityam only. Therefore, you cannot say it is still nityam jnanam which is doing the prasara. That jnanam itself is produced from sattva guna. Okay, once we say this, what he is saying, nacha chakshuradi indriya dwara prasritatva prasritatva avasthameva jnanam anityam jnanasya hi prasaraha jayate natu jnanamiti. Okay, iti vachyam. So now they are doing some more gymnastics. What he is saying is, when the movement is taking place through the chakshurindriya, that movement is anitya. Okay, at that time you can say jnanam anityam because the movement of that jnana is anitya, the activity. But in the jnanam, jnanasya hi prasaraha jayate means what? The activity is of the jnanam. It is already jnanam. And the activity is of the jnanam. That activity is only anityam, but jnanam is still nityam, he is claiming. Okay. So he is saying jnanasya hi prasaraha jayate. That prasara can be anityam, but not jnanam, natu jnanam. So once he says this what? We say that niravayasya jnanasya prasara yogat. That's why we have to bring all these things. Atma is said as nishkalam, niravayavam. Correct? If Atma is Niravayava, how can this Niravayava Atma have any movement, any prasara? And it is also actually Ananta. Where can it move? Only if it is not there somewhere, it can move there, correct? So Niravayavasya Jnanasya prasara yoga nachak jnanam savayam eva iti vachyam. Now he is saying, no, jnana. Who said jnana is Niravayava? Jnana is Savayavam. Means you can't say that. Why? Savayavatve sati tasya anityatva apata. If you say it is Savayava, then Jnana, you cannot still claim it is Nityam Jnana. You said Nityam Jnanam is doing the prasara, correct? So it will now become Anitya. It will get Anityatvam. Means now he is now challenging this itself. He is saying Nacha Niravayavam Nityam iti nasti vyaptihi. So there is no invariable concomitance between Nityatvam and Niravayavatvam, he is saying. Okay. Why he is giving now the Akasha as an example. Gaganasya Niravayavasyapi Anityatva Darshana iti Vachyam. So the Niravayavam can be Anitya. Therefore Savayavam can be also Nitya. like this. There is no rule, he is saying. You cannot say that rule that Niravayava means it, or for Nitya has to be always Niravayava. Like that, there is no rule. There is no Vyapti. Because Akasha is Niravayava. But in fact, even he accepts it as Anitya because he has to accept Brahman as Karana, correct, of everything. But once he says that what we are saying, no, no, Gagana Niravayavatvasya Asampratipannatvat Atma Bhinnam Niravayavam Kimapi Nasti iti Asmat Siddhanta. So what is our Siddhanta? Other than Atma, everything else is Savayava. Okay, we don't accept that Akasha is Niravayava. Akasha is Niravayava only physically, we say. But this physical Akasha itself has subtle Avayavas. That is why Panchikaranam is important. Understand? Panchikrita Akasha. Correct? This physical Akasha is a Panchikrita Akasha. That means we say 50% Akasha Tanmatra, then 1/8 of the others. That way it becomes Savayava. So this Trivrit Karanam is Shruti itself. Pramana is there for that. Again, understand. That is why Trivrit Karanam is very important in the Chandogya Shruti. So we don't accept Akasha is Niravayava. Akasha may be physically, you may say it looks like it doesn't have any parts. But it is subtly, it is in subtle world, it is having parts only. Therefore, in the Siddhanta, we don't accept anything other than Atma as Niravayava. Okay, further what? Savayavatvade vahi gaganasya shruyamanam janma api upapadyate. Also, if it is not Savayava, it cannot be produced. Anything which is produced has to have Avayava. Okay, that also we say. Only Atma is Ajata, correct? It doesn't have any, it is always there. It is not created. It is uncreated, causeless cause. You can say Atma is. But the status of being a cause also is Nitya anyway. So that's not a problem. So anything which is created is Savayava only. So that's why even the Tasmad va etasmad Atmana Akasha Sambhutaha. Shruti is there. Akasha came from this Atma. So Akashasyapi Karanam. This Atma, therefore Gagana is Savayava. Therefore what Tasmad Anityameva idam Atma Swarupat Anyat Jnanam. So any other Jnanam other than the Swarupa Jnanam of Atma has to be considered as only Anitya. And that Jnanam only is talked about even in the Gita as being produced by Sattva Guna, etc. Therefore, Atayeva Tat Kartrutvam Anyasya Upapadyate. Also what? That Jnana Kartrutvam also therefore cannot be in the Atma. That Jnana Kartru or the Jnatru cannot be this Atma. Why? Because Yat Kriyate Tadhi Anityam Yata Ghataha. So that which is produced is all impermanent, transient, like even a Ghata. Once we say this also, finally what he is saying, Nacha Jnana Prasaraha Eva Kriyate Natu Jnana Miti Vachyam. So again he is saying, no, no, Jnana is not produced. Jnana is Nityam. But its action alone is created. So Jnana Prasaraha Eva Kriyate. That Jnana going out is produced or created newly, but Jnana is already there. Means that also you can't say why, because already we have said Niravayava Nitya Jnanasya Prasara Anupapattehe Darshitatva. So the Prasara etc. cannot be talked about for a Jnana which is Niravayava and which is also Nitya. It is Nitya itself means it cannot have any Vikara because Vikaratvam is actually Anityatvam, really speaking. Any modification, it means you are subjected to time, and then if you are subjected to time means you will become time wise, you cannot be eternal and all that. So therefore, any activity presupposes some change, but Atma doesn't have any change, and that's why it is Nitya and it is also partless whole. Okay. Once we say this, now he is saying, but your Acharya himself is saying that. Okay. He is quoting Dakshinamurti Stotra and saying, Nana Chidra Ghatodharasti Tamaha Deepa Prabha Bhaswaram Jnanam Yasyadu Chakshuradi Karnadwara Bahispandate. Bahihi your Acharya has said. What are you going to say for this? You guys are, you only are saying this. So I am also now going by what Shankaracharya is saying. Means how we are answering that we'll see in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
धन्यवाद गुरुजी.